Welcome back for the final chapter of The King of the Things by Adrian Beckingham. I've been really enjoying reading this book with you. I hope that some of you have been enjoying it too. Chapter 10, Tax the Terrible. Almost forgot. Are you sitting comfortably?
Yes, yes. Woo-hoo.
Then I'll begin. It was early and everyone was sleeping. One lone figure was walking slowly towards the forest with an axe swung across his shoulder. Tax saw Hunch coming towards him from a distance and grinned. Tax hid in the bushes at the edge of the forest. He dared not go too deep, as you know, for fear of the terrible, unmentionable things that no one can describe, which rumour has it live there. But behind a large tree he stood and waited till Hunch walked by, then leapt out with a scream, "Aha!" But it was Tax who got the fright. Hunch wasn't hunching any more. Hunch stood taller than him and was there, smiling down. "Hunch!" said Tax, a startled look on his face. Quiz turned her tail and flickered the woodcutters across the nose. Tax saw Hunch standing straight and tall. He saw the map and the heavy-looking pouch. "What have you got there, my friend?" he asked. "Friend?" His eyebrows raised with surprise. Hunch told Tax everything about running off into the forest, getting lost, climbing the cliff, finding the clearing and the circle of death-white trunks, the tall tree with the hollow inside, falling asleep, waking to the sound of drumming, meeting the king of the things, being asked to dance, given a bag of gold, and the promise of more if he returned. Tax's eyes narrowed. He licked his lips. He waved Hunch goodbye and walked off to chop some trees, or pretended to. As soon as Hunch turned a bend in the river, Tax carefully followed him. Tax watched as Hunch entered his cottage. He crept up outside. Inside he heard Hunch telling his parents all that had happened. Then Hunch said, "Mother, father, I wish to take us all for an adventure." Tax took a peek through the open window and saw the map sat right there on the table. Where was the gold? He could not see. His hand whipped inside, then out again, and when Hunch sat down with Quiz and his family for breakfast, they noticed the map was gone. No worry, they had enough gold and were grateful for it, and with happy hearts they disappeared into another story. That evening Tax gathered up all his courage. With his trusty axe in one hand and the map in the other, he entered the forest. With a beating heart he followed the map carefully. He never had to climb the cliff, but instead he walked along a straight and hidden pathway, with the map to guide him. It took him a long time, and the sound and shadows startled him and made his stomach turn, but he kept thinking of that second bag of gold and the stupid king who had promised the gold to Hunch. A bag of gold just for a dance. What a fool! Soon enough he came to the clearing. There were the bone-white fallen trunks, all laid out in a circle. There was a tall dead tree with the hollow inside. Tax climbed in and waited. He waited so long he fell asleep and dreamt of spiders climbing all over him. He gave a little cry of fear and then he heard it. Rat-a-tat-tat, rat-a-tat-tat, bang! Rat-a-tat-tat, rat-a-tat-tat, bang! The king of the things saw Tax's head appear from the crack in the tree. "Aha, Samesy, you have returned!" "He is as stupid as he is ugly," thought Tax. His knees knocked and a big ball of sick rose from his gut into his mouth, but he held it back and swallowed. Why, he thinks I am that ugly hunchback, he thought to himself. Welcome back, said the king. Tax trembled terrifically as he watched the king's large single eye turn into 12 fingers that twitched at the end of a long winding nose. Rat-a-tat-tat, rat-a-tat-tat, bang! Rat-a-tat-tat, rat-a-tat-tat, bang! Now dance! Tax almost smiled. He would show this king a thing or two. He put down his axe and began a slow waltz. All there on his own. He knew the steps so well. He then gathered speed, slipping into a quick foxtrot. Stop the drumming! Shouted the king of the things, and the drumming stopped. All the things sat in that circle, quieter than a mouse. They waited. Tax waited. Suddenly he was sure they were about to eat him. A little warm trickle crept down his leg. That was ridiculous, exclaimed the king of the things. Dance as you did yesterday. Tax flinched. This king cannot be serious, he thought, or Hunch must have lied. How could the king have liked Hunch's dance so much he paid for it with gold? Anyone and everyone knows Hunch can't dance, and I'm brilliant. Rat-a-tat-tat, rat-a-tat-tat, bang! Rat-a-tat-tat, rat-a-tat-tat, bang! Of course, Tax had no idea how the hunchback had danced. He swung up his arms and did a high pirouette. He shook his tail like the chop, and he looped and swayed and full moon walked, but all to no avail. As he stared at the king of the things, some enormous eyeballs he had been growing on the ends of his elbows began to turn red with fury. All the things began oozing and twitching, guffawing and rumbling on their fallen bone branches. A gentle roar of hullabaloos and buffagambles rose into the air. Tax danced the hog's back and even turned a cartwheel. Stop drumming! The king of the things scowled from behind a set of sharp fangs that sprouted from every inch of his body. But Tax did not wait to hear any more. He grabbed his axe from the floor and raised it, blubbering like a tiny child. A long crab claw shot out from the king's belly button and gripped the handle. Tax could not throw or strike. He fell to his knees and began to sob. Why are you picking on me? He howled. Are you trying to have a laugh? Roared the king. I'm surprised and disappointed in you. Yesterday you were so gracious. Today you are a fool. I am the king of the things. You samesies lack many things, especially the ability of thinking. Thinking. You see? Huh, said the woodcutter, tears flooding from his eyes. Say it slowly, with that samey mouth of yours. There, with two lips, right over your chin, right under your nose. Thing, king. Thing, king. Some of you samesies are better at it than others. Thing, king. Before you speak or act, say it slowly, said the king of the things, as a long tongue rolled from underneath his armpit. Tax began scratching his head. Thing, king. Thing, king. Oh, thinking! The king of the things suddenly became a ball of green fur surrounded by 1,000 blinking eyes. You judge others by how they look on the outside, or how much gold they hold, rather than what is inside their hearts. There is no better or worse on the outside, just different. It's the inside that counts. Now it's time for you to go. But before you do, what's your question? Every Samesy has a question. Tax was not used to being bossed around. He did the opposite to what the king of the things was telling him. He did not think at all. Tax was used to getting his own way far too often. He stood up and said, "Leave. Not yet. I demand my gold. I want what's mine." Do you think that brave? Saying it to the king of the things, surrounded by his minions in the clearing on that hill, took a little something to be sure, but bravery is not bravery if it's just plain foolish. For a start, there was no truth in it. How could Tax think it was his gold? No one had ever promised it to him. It had been promised to Hunch, only if Hunch returned. But Tax had stolen the map and come in his place. Of course, Tax's question was not a question at all. Tax had to learn to listen more than he spoke. After all, that's why he had been given 2 ears and 1 mouth. "You are right," said the king of the things. "I do have something that is yours." He stretched out a long, gooey tongue, dripping with green spit, and used it to flip up the fold of skin. It formed a little gaping slit right under one of his chins. Green mist slipped down to his belly in a ball of rolling slime. Tax smiled. He had won. He had shown the king of the things his rightful place. Ha ha. Good life, here I come, he thought, and rubbed his hands together. I wonder how many bags of gold this disgusting thing holds inside his body. I want to have them all. The king of the things pulled a spongy pouch from his belching navel. Tax reached out his hands. He twitched his nose. This parcel looked disgusting, big and heavy, dripping with gunge onto the forest floor. The king of the things held it high over Tax's head, then said, "Here you go. You take it back. Keep it, even if you can't dance." Stupid king, thought Tax. Then, looking up, Tax recognized the shape that was that of that dripping lump. His eyelids peeled open with terror. "No!" he cried, and turned to flee. But the king of the things did not intend to put the horrid parcel in Tax's hands. He hovered it for a second, then just as Tax began to run, he slipped it onto Tax's back, where it stuck firmer than any glue, never to be removed again. Tax felt the weight of it. It made him hunch forward. He fell onto his hands with a gasp, and right there on the ground beside him was Hunch's old twisted hazel staff. With a groan, Tax used it to lift himself to standing. Something about the weight of the king of the things had put across his shoulder made him bend forward in a stoop. Tax trembled and he begged, "Take it off, take it off." With a gasp of horror, he realized he could not stand up straight, no matter how hard he tried. So this is really a story about how a little village once lost its hunchback, but soon found another. And this new one, unlike Hunch, really was rather horrid. Don't you think? Because it's what's inside that counts. Tax the Terrific soon gained a new name, Tax the Terrible. But that's a tale for another time. To this day, the village is still surrounded by fields, and the fields are indeed still surrounded by forests, for Tax never swung his axe again. His back bent would not allow it. This story took place once upon a time, in a place not so far from you. If you should ever go walking deep into the forest and find yourself in a wide circle of trees with fallen stumps all around, with a tall tree in the centre, pointing at the sky like a white bony finger, take a look and check out if there's a hollow at the bottom, and if there is, decide whether you want to sit inside. Dun dun dun. The author would like to say, would you like to try to draw the best ever picture of the king and the things? We've left a big space here for you to do this. Might try that.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much indeed.
I hope you've all enjoyed it.
Yes.
I've not done this reading out loud to a microphone before, so it's a new thing. But I'm going to do more books because I think at this time being, there's a lot of people that are not able to get out and about and see each other as much as they'd like to. And it's really nice for us all to connect in different ways. So I hope some of you tune in for the next videos and send me suggestions if there's particular books you'd like me to read. And I love having you all here. Take care, and I look forward to sunny times where we all get to meet up more. So, bye.